Before grocery stores existed, Native Americans across North America harvested over 300 types of fruits that most people today have never even heard of. Fruits that were delicious, nutrient-dense, and perfectly adapted to local climates. They required no pesticides, no fertilizers, and minimal care. They simply grew. Wild, abundant, free. Yet today, almost all of these fruits have been forgotten, dismissed as wild food or primitive. Meanwhile, we import apples from New Zealand, berries from Chile, and grapes from halfway around the world, spending billions on fruits that are picked weeks early, shipped thousands of miles, and taste like cardboard compared to what our ancestors enjoyed. This series will introduce 15 native North American fruits that foragers and indigenous peoples harvested for thousands of years. Fruits more nutritious than anything in modern stores. Fruits that grow with no care. Fruits that could transform your backyard into a self-sustaining food forest. And most importantly, fruits that need to come back before this knowledge is lost forever. Stick around, because some of these fruits produce more than conventional trees, require zero pruning, and literally fall into your hands when perfectly ripe. Number 15, American persimmon, the sweet survival fruit. Smaller than grocery store persimmons, about the size of a golf ball, but with a flavor 10 times richer, sweet, complex, almost like dates mixed with honey and apricot. Native Americans across the eastern United States harvested persimmons every fall. They ate them fresh, dried them for winter, baked them into bread and pudding, and even fermented them into beverages. American persimmon trees are remarkably resilient. They grow in zones 4 through 9, tolerating drought, poor soil, heat, and cold. Once established, they produce fruit for decades with zero care. No pruning, no spraying, no fertilizing. The fruit ripens in late fall, usually after the first frost. Look for trees like meter or early golden if planting in your yard, or forage wild persimmons in eastern and midwestern forests and old fields. Wild trees have dark, blocky bark, and ripe fruit can often be picked directly from the ground. Number 14. Mayhaw, the forgotten jelly fruit of the South. Mayhaws are small red fruits, about the size of a crabapple, thriving in southern swamps and wetlands. In Louisiana, Texas, and Georgia, older generations remember mayhaw jelly as a delicacy. Tart yet slightly sweet, the fruit transforms into ruby red, complex-flavored jellies when cooked. Mayhaw trees flourish in wet, swampy areas where most fruit trees would drown. They grow in zones 7 through 9, reaching 15 to 25 feet tall, covered in ornamental white flowers in spring. A mature tree can yield 40 to 60 pounds of fruit annually. Once common, mayhaws were abandoned due to drained wetlands and poor commercial viability. Today, specialty nurseries and passionate gardeners are bringing them back, reconnecting with the South's heritage. Number 13, beach plum, the coastal survivor. A small, wild plum found along the Atlantic coast from Maine to Virginia. Tart and fruity, perfect for jams, pies, and even wine. Beach plums thrive in sandy, salty coastal conditions where most fruit trees would fail. They form dense thickets, producing thousands of fruits each summer, and require no care. Once abundant, coastal development and a lack of commercial interest pushed beach plums toward obscurity. Restoration projects and dedicated foragers are slowly reintroducing these hardy fruits. Wild or cultivated, they are ideal for sandy soils, salt spray zones, and marginal coastal gardens. Number 12. Black haw, also known as wild raisin. Black haw produces blue-black berries with the sweet, chewy texture of raisins or dates. Native Americans harvested them in the fall, eating them fresh, drying them for storage, or cooking them into sauces and preserves. The plants grow in zones 3 through 9, tolerating cold winters, drought, poor soil, and partial shade. Flat clusters of white spring flowers attract pollinators, while mature plants yield several pounds of fruit annually. Black haw's flavor is naturally sweet and meaty, making it perfect for a backyard food forest. Its neglect in modern agriculture is a loss for those seeking resilient, nutritious, native fruits. These are just the first 4 of 15 forgotten fruits that need to return to our gardens, diets, and landscapes. Each of these fruits carries centuries of indigenous knowledge, hardiness, and unmatched flavor. In the next video, We'll explore numbers 11 through 7, fruits that grow wild, feed wildlife, and require almost no care. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson in reclaiming these lost native treasures. Welcome back. Without chemicals, tolerate harsh conditions, and feed families for generations. In the next video, we'll continue climbing the list, and the fruits only get more exciting from here. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. And tell me in the comments, have you ever tasted nannyberry or wild plum? Let's keep bringing these native foods back, one plant at a time. Welcome back. In this part of the series, we're counting down fruits number 9 through number 7, 3 powerful native fruits that indigenous peoples relied on for thousands of years. These are plants that grow wild, require almost no care, and produce food that is more nutritious than almost anything you'll find in a grocery store today. Let's get into it. Number 9, elderberry, the immune-boosting powerhouse. At number 9, we have elderberry, one of the few native fruits that's actually starting to make a comeback, and for good reason. Native American tribes across North America harvested elderberries not only as food, but also as medicine. The berries are rich in antioxidants and compounds that support immune health and help the body fight inflammation. Traditionally, the berries were cooked into syrups, dried for winter use, and made into cakes, teas, and preserves. Even the flowers were used for teas and food. Elderberries grow on large, fast-growing shrubs that reach 10 to 15 feet tall. Once established, they're incredibly productive. A mature plant can yield 10 to 20 pounds of berries every year with almost no maintenance. They grow native across zones 3 through 9, thriving in wet soil, poor soil, and even partial shade. The berries ripen in late summer in big flat clusters called umbels. When ripe, they turn dark purple or nearly black and have a tart, slightly sweet flavor. Raw elderberries in large quantities can cause stomach upset, so traditionally, they were always cooked before eating. Today, elderberry syrup has become famous as a natural immune booster, and while store-bought bottles can cost a fortune, growing your own means you can produce it for pennies. Native elderberry species are slightly different from European varieties, but both are excellent. If you're planting your own, look for varieties like Adams or York. They're reliable, hardy, and productive. Elderberries were never industrialized at scale because the fruit is too soft and too perishable for shipping. But that's exactly what makes them perfect for backyard growers and foragers. This is food and medicine that grows naturally right here on this land. Number 8, wild grape, the sweetest vines in the forest. Number 8 is wild grape, one of the most abundant and productive native fruits on the continent. If you've ever walked through the woods in late summer and smelled that rich, fruity aroma in the air, you were probably standing near wild grapevines. Indigenous peoples harvested wild grapes across North America for thousands of years. They ate them fresh, dried them into raisins, made juice and wine, and even used the leaves for cooking, just like grape leaves are used in Mediterranean cuisine today. Here's what makes wild grapes incredible. They're ridiculously productive. A single mature vine can produce 50 to 100 pounds of fruit per year, climbing high into trees and spreading across forest edges, riverbanks, and roadsides, all without human intervention. Wild grapes grow in zones 3 through 9, making them one of the most adaptable fruit-bearing plants. The grapes are usually smaller than the seedless table grapes you see in stores, with thicker skins and seeds, but the flavor is intense, sweet, and slightly tart. Some species have that classic, foxy grape flavor that became famous through Concord grapes. And here's a fascinating fact. Almost all cultivated grapes in North America trace their roots back to wild native grapes. The Concord grape itself is a selection of native fox grape. So why don't you see wild grapes in grocery stores? Because commercial farms wanted seedless, uniform grapes that ship easily, not small, richly flavored grapes that burst off the vine. So wild grapes were sidelined. But for foragers and backyard growers, wild grapes are a gift. They grow almost anywhere. They require no care. And every year, the vines explode with fruit that would cost a fortune if it were sold in stores. Number 7, pawpaw, the tropical fruit that grows in your backyard. And now, number 7, the legendary pawpaw. This is the fruit that shocks almost everyone the first time they taste it. Pawpaw is the largest edible native fruit in North America, and yet, most people have never even heard of it. On the outside, pawpaws look like short, fat green bananas. But inside, the flesh is soft, creamy, and bright yellow or orange, with a flavor that tastes like banana, mango, vanilla, and pineapple blended together into a custard-like dessert. It's so rich and sweet that early settlers called it the American custard apple. Native Americans harvested pawpaws for countless generations. The fruit was so important that tribes would set up seasonal camps near pawpaw groves, gathering and drying the fruit and using the strong inner bark fibers for rope and twine. Here's what makes pawpaw truly remarkable. The trees require almost no care. They grow naturally in zones 5 through 9, thrive in partial shade, resist most pests and diseases, and once mature, they produce 50 to 100 pounds of fruit per tree every single year. Pawpaw trees grow 15 to 30 feet tall with huge, tropical-looking leaves. In spring, they produce unusual maroon-colored flowers, and by late summer to fall, the branches hang heavy with clusters of fruit. When the pawpaw is perfectly ripe, it literally falls into your hand. So why isn't pawpaw famous worldwide? Because the fruit is soft, delicate, and nearly impossible to ship. That means big agriculture has no interest in it, but home growers and foragers absolutely should. Pawpaw is one of the greatest forgotten fruits of North America, and bringing it back means reconnecting with a food tradition that goes back thousands of years. Those were fruits number 9 through number 7, elderberry, wild grape, and pawpaw. 3 powerful native foods that grow with almost no effort, and yet barely anyone today knows they exist. In the next video, we'll keep counting down, and trust me, the fruits still to come are even more surprising. If you're enjoying this journey into forgotten native foods, make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part of the series. See you there. Number 6 is buffalo berry, one of the toughest and most nutritious native fruits in North America. This thorny shrub grows across the Great Plains, the Rocky Mountains, and into Canada. Native tribes like the Blackfoot, Cheyenne, and Lakota harvested buffalo berries every summer. They were a crucial part of the diet. The berries are small, about the size of red currants, growing in dense clusters along the branches. Raw, they're tart and slightly bitter, but cooked with a little sweetness, they transform into something delicious. Buffalo berry thrives in harsh conditions, brutal winters, hot summers, drought, wind, and poor soil, and remains highly productive even in bad years. Traditional harvesting involved spreading a buffalo hide or blanket under the bush and beating the branches. Ripe berries fell onto the blanket, ready to be dried for winter storage or whipped into a light, fluffy sauce called Indian ice cream. Buffalo berries are packed with vitamin C, antioxidants, and saponins, making them one of the most nutrient-dense native fruits. The shrubs grow 6 to 12 feet tall, with silver-green leaves and sharp thorns. Mature plants produce 5 to 10 pounds of berries per year. They nearly disappeared from cultivation because commercial farms couldn't mechanize harvest due to the thorns, tart flavor, and small berries. For backyard growers in dry, cold climates, though, buffalo berry is perfect, resilient, free, and incredibly nutritious. Number 5 is serviceberry, also called juneberry, a versatile and beautiful native fruit. These shrubs because they're soft and birds love them, but for backyard growers, that's an advantage. Varieties like Regent, Thiessen, and Smoky are bred for larger fruit and higher yields. Number 4 is the wild strawberry, tiny but packed with flavor. These berries are about the size of a pea or small marble, yet their taste is 10 times more intense than store-bought strawberries. Sweet, aromatic, and flavorful, One berry delivers the experience of a whole handful of regular strawberries. Native Americans harvested wild strawberries across the continent. They ate them fresh, dried them for winter, and made sauces and preserves. In some areas, the ground would be completely covered with ripe berries in early summer. Wild strawberries grow low to the ground, spreading by runners. They thrive in meadows, forest edges, roadsides, and partial sun with decent soil. Hardy in zones 3 to 10, they produce fruit without any care, and because they're small, birds often ignore them, giving you a better harvest. The flavor is concentrated and intense, with the classic sweet strawberry aroma. Wild strawberries were never commercialized because they're small and labor-intensive to harvest, but for backyard growers and foragers, that's irrelevant. Let them naturalize in your yard, or plant varieties like mignonette or barren solemaker to cultivate them intentionally. Wild strawberries are carefree, abundant, and a true taste of North America's native bounty. Number 1 on our list is huckleberry, the crown jewel of native North American fruits. If you've ever tasted a wild huckleberry, you know why it's number 1. These small, dark purple berries grow wild in the mountains of the western United States and Canada, and the flavor is truly exceptional, sweet, tart, and intensely fruity. Native American tribes across the Northwest, including the Nez Perce, Flathead, and Kootenai, considered huckleberries sacred. They harvested them every summer, held ceremonies to honor the berries and preserve them for winter. Traditional gathering grounds were passed down through generations, with families returning to the same spots year after year. What makes huckleberries so special is the flavor. It's more intense than blueberries, sweeter than blackberries, and far more complex than any cultivated fruit. Eating a wild huckleberry is like tasting the mountains, forests, and clean air all at once. Huckleberries grow on low shrubs in high-elevation forests, usually between 4,000 and 8,000 feet. They prefer cool summers, acidic soil, and partial shade under conifer trees. The berries ripen in late summer, typically August or September, growing in small clusters along the branches. Huckleberries are almost impossible to cultivate. People have tried for decades to domesticate them, but they grow slowly from seed, are finicky about soil and conditions, and do not transplant well. That's why you can't buy huckleberries in grocery stores. They only grow wild. For foragers, this makes huckleberries a treasure. You have to find them yourself, hike into the mountains, and earn your harvest. The reward is incredible. Huckleberries are used in pies, jams, syrups, pancakes, ice cream, and even huckleberry beer and wine. Huckleberries represent wild food that cannot be commercialized, mass-produced, or controlled. They are a gift from the land that requires respect, patience, and effort to harvest, and that's why they're number one. Here's the bonus tip we promised. Many of these native fruits are still growing wild right now across North America, in forests, along roadsides, and on public lands, and you can forage them for free. Step 1. Learn to identify the plants. Use field guides like Edible Wild Plants by Samuel Thayer or apps like iNaturalist to identify trees and shrubs. Late summer and early fall is the best time when most fruits are ripe. Step 2. Look in the right places. Native fruits grow along forest edges, near water, in old homestead sites, and in disturbed areas like roadsides and abandoned fields. Look for pawpaws in river valleys, serviceberries on hillsides, wild grapes climbing trees, and elderberries in wet ditches. Step 3. Always get permission. Respect private property and follow local regulations on public lands. Many national forests allow personal foraging in reasonable quantities. Step 4. Harvest responsibly. Take only what you'll use, leave plenty for wildlife, and never damage the plants. Sustainable foraging ensures these fruits will be around for future generations. Step 5. Consider planting native fruits in your own yard. Most are available from specialty nurseries, and once established, they'll produce food for decades with zero care. These fruits embody thousands of years of indigenous knowledge, food sovereignty, and sustainability. They need to come back, and it starts with you. You now hold the key to reclaiming a part of our natural heritage. Every native fruit you plant, every wild fruit you forage, is a step toward independence, sustainability, and reconnecting with the land. Remember, these plants are not just food. They're living history, lessons in resilience, and a bridge to thousands of years of indigenous wisdom. So go out, explore, plant, harvest, and share this knowledge. Taste the wild, nourish yourself naturally, and help bring these forgotten fruits back to life. The future of food is in your hands. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and taste what this land has to offer. I'll see you in the next video.